Welcome back to the Voice of College Football at Florida YouTube channel. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe to the channel, share this video with all your friends. The Gators have a ton of momentum right now, and we're just going to get into it. Ty Jackson, four-star linebacker, flipped from USC to Florida at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. He's the 124th ranked player in the composite. I think he's a bit better than that ranking even suggests. He's also teammates with a guy who just flipped from FSU and Daniel Pierre-Louis. The Gators did a lot of things right. He was a guy that at the beginning of the season, Florida felt like had a really good chance of flipping. Getting to commit, but Florida lost to Miami. He then went and visited USC, and he just committed on impulse to USC. Then USC season has definitely gone down, while Florida has gone up since then. So that impulse decision to commit, he hasn't visited USC since, if I'm not mistaken. So Florida had a lot going in its favor. He just visited for the Ole Miss game where Florida took down a top 10 team. And yeah, the staff was able to get it done. A player that I think really did want to be a Gator, but probably just expected Napier to get fired, especially after that A&M game. Of course, I was Seminole Ridge teammates with Daniel Pierre-Louis, as I've already mentioned. But let's talk about him as a player. I think he's a really good prospect for the Gators. Not the greatest size at 6'1", 200-ish pounds, but I think he's a bit bigger than that. And his play recognition, I'm watching his film, has great play recognition in the run support. He's coming up to the line. He's making those plays, shedding the blocks. He does that at a really high level, I think. Something that maybe even elite for him. His side-to-side speed, if they're going on the outside, he's a player that's going to be able to get there. Obviously, he's not facing most insane talent, but that speed is something you can see on the film, and that's something that's more likely to translate. And when you're in the SEC and you're facing five-star receivers in the outside, five-star running backs, you definitely need that speed, and he's someone that has it and can translate to a really good career at Florida. He's also pretty good in zone coverage. Had a couple picks this year, reading the QB's eye, stays his zone. Florida does like to run a little bit of zone here and there. So we haven't had the greatest linebackers in coverage. So I think he's definitely someone that provides a different outlook. But he's also a big hitter. He's laying these guys out flat. And now they are high school players. But still, he is a big hitter at high school level. So if that can also translate to this SEC level, we're looking at somebody who can be an all SEC type of player for the Gators. What does this mean for the linebacker room specifically? Well, when you look at the linebacker room, Shamar James and Pup Howard, the two starters into the year. Shamar, I would assume, stays another season. Pup Howard is true sophomore, so he will return. But when you look at guys we do lose, we are going to lose Derek Wingo, RJ Moten. Neither of them have gotten an insane amount of playing time, but those are two valuable players who can get 10 to 15 snaps a game that you do need to replace. Now, we do have a player like Miles Graham and Jaden Robinson who have played extremely well, as Robinson, a sophomore redshirt freshman, and Miles Graham, a true freshman. So it is a linebacker room that is stacked with talent, and not just talent, but players who are showing it on the field that they might be all SEC type of players. Miles Graham just graded out as Florida's best player in the Ole Miss game. So he's definitely someone that has a high future. So you do set in Ty Jackson into that defensive lineup that's already stacked. And hey, you look back at the dominant teams of the world, like the Alabamas and the Georgias, they are stacking elite talent on elite talent. So it's something that the linebacker position has done really well. You also look, we have another three-star linebacker, Miles Johnson, who we flipped from Alabama a couple months ago during the offseason. So more of a developmental guy with also pretty good speed. They definitely targeted some guys that can play more versatile roles as a linebacker. So not just great run support and not just a great pass support or pass coverage, I would say. So this puts the Gators at 19th in the 247 composite rankings. Obviously, 19th is not where the Gators want to be. So before we say Florida has a ton of momentum and that it's all up from here, we still are 19th. But when you just look from a week ago when we were ranked 48th, near 50 even, it's a night and day difference. And it doesn't look to be stopping. Florida, if we can flip a guy like Solomon Thomas, and then we have some other some low four, mid 4 stars, some 3 stars, get those guys. I mean, I know a top 15 class still isn't what you want. We want Gators to be getting near that top 5. But I mean, still, if it's a smaller class, we have like 5 to 10 less commits than most of the teams around us. Looking at a top 7, 8 average in the country. I mean, with the Pete Nico said, Florida is going to be looking to go into the transfer portal and get some of that elite talent. So I'm okay with it. I do want us to see next season go and get that top 5 level class. But I mean, from this year looking and where we were just a week ago, it's definitely a huge bright spot that can show that, hey, we can still go and get that elite level class that you need to win, not just a championship, but multiple championships. But then we got to look who is next for the Florida Gators, who could be that next commitment. I would be looking at maybe the 3 stars like a Jahari Medlock from Cincinnati or Onis Konabeni 4-star corner committed to Tennessee. That would be a pretty big flip for the Gators. Or Muiz Tonakara, who is a 3-star wide receiver commit to Arizona. Heard some good stuff about some other guys like a Jaden Woods at Penn State. Someone that we talked about last night that nobody even really knew about. I didn't even know he was visiting until I saw him random on a picture that said visitors. So I think the Gators are looking to be in a really good spot to have a strong finish to the class, and to where 2 weeks ago before the LSU game, I was saying, man, we're going to probably finish in the 20s. Now we have a chance to finish in that top 15. Maybe if some other teams have a bad finish near that top 10-ish range, wouldn't expect top 10, but like we could have like a top 12-ish level class. But we will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, go Gators.